believe people play with people intelligence the way they play with people intelligence and intellect, you know, the way they do today. You know, people are telling lies for a living. You know what I mean?
You know what's the to me? There's a who pick who he be fight with.
Right.
Like if you sit there and you go, oh, I'm not going because this
I
nigga.
won't him, but I'll fuck this one.
Yeah, I think I can take him.
Right.
Welcome back to Fame Flux, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. Tensions have erupted after Tony Yayo reportedly confronted Jay Prince over repeated attempts to pressure 50 Cent into checking in while moving through Houston. According to insiders, Yayo stepped in during a private industry event and made it clear that neither he nor 50 would bow to street politics disguised as hospitality. Yayo allegedly told Prince, "We don't check in, we check out problems. Respect is earned, not demanded." This bold stance comes after years of Jay Prince being accused of leveraging his influence to control artists passing through his territory. 50 Cent has long refused to submit to those expectations, and now Yayo is backing that defiance publicly. Social media is buzzing with reactions, with fans applauding Yayo for standing his ground and calling out the power dynamics at play. As of now, Jay Prince has yet to respond, but the message from G-Unit is crystal clear. They move on their own terms. Tony Yayo just lit up the industry with a bold revelation, targeting none other than Jay Prince and what may be one of the largest extortion operations ever whispered about in hip-hop. According to Yayo, Jay Prince tried running his infamous check-in play on 50 Cent, only to get met with resistance and exposure. Instead of folding under pressure, 50 Cent flipped the whole script, daring Jay Prince to come for him directly.
You know what's the to me? There's a nigga who pick who he be fight with.
Right.
Like if you sit there and you go, oh, I'm not going because this
I
nigga.
won't him, but I'll fuck this one.
Yeah, I think I can take him.
Right.
You want to fight the nigga you think you.
What began as quiet tension is now full-blown conflict between Houston's long-standing street power and G-Unit's no-nonsense militant foundation. To fully understand how this explosive feud reached its tipping point, it's necessary to trace things back to their roots. Jay Prince, as the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, has built a legacy rooted in both respect and fear. He's the kind of figure whose influence doesn't require shouting. His name alone silences rooms. In Houston, he's viewed as a quiet storm, rarely seen, always felt. For years, artists arriving in the city were expected to check in or risk consequences. Chains lost, crews shaken down, or worse. Then there's 50 Cent, who emerged in the early 2000s as a defiant disruptor. He didn't just push back against industry politics, he waged war on them. From his long-standing beef with Ja Rule and Murder Inc., to his refusal to play the industry's unspoken power games, 50 built G-Unit on a code of independence and strength. His stance was firm: no check-ins, no gatekeepers, and absolutely no homage to any self-appointed kingpin.
Like I got out there, they showed me a lot of love. But Shreveport had the infrastructure already here. Like even the tax incentive was put back.
Well, yeah. And so a lot of people have been talking about, man, he's here only because they gave him a cheap deal or something like that. The reality is there's more to that deal than that. Way more.
They can't see.
Break that down.
I'm spending $20 million this year anyway in the same building that they're saying was the cheap building.
Right.
So find somebody else to spend $20 million.
So when word got out that 50 Cent might be relocating to Houston, the industry started watching closely. Everyone knew the implications. If 50 moved to H-Town and refused to follow protocol, it wouldn't just be a disagreement, it would be a power struggle. The stage was set for a serious showdown, and true to form, 50 didn't just pull up quietly. He made his entrance loud and strategic. What started as an undercurrent of tension turned into a Cold War, both sides standing firm on their turf. When 50 Cent tweeted, "I love New York, but I live in Houston now. I'll explain later." It wasn't just a casual move, it was a declaration. The shift from NYC to H-Town was rooted in strategy, not clout. With New York's crushing taxes cutting deep into his business margins, Houston made the perfect escape. less taxation, more real estate, and a blossoming hip-hop infrastructure ready to be tapped. Beyond the tax break, Houston offered fertile ground for Branson cognac to flourish. The southern liquor market was booming, and 50 had his sights set on growing his empire, not just in music, but in alcohol distribution.
Came to the city of Houston, but he didn't just come here to live. He has been helping out on so many causes in this city. And especially, he has been in our high schools, turning our high school students into entrepreneurs with his Unity Camp program. I've seen him firsthand. This city has been elevated because of his presence. And so today, we have the honor of saying to him, he's our 2022 Grand Marshal. Give it up to Curtis 50 Jackson. Now, before I call on him to speak, let me present you first a key to the city of Houston. Anywhere you go, 550 buildings, use the key, the door will swing wide open.
Film production and local entertainment investment. It wasn't just a move, it was a calculated expansion plan to pour capital back into a city that could carry it. But there was one major obstacle. He didn't check in. And for Jay Prince, that was a problem. Known across the culture for enforcing the unwritten rule of respect in Houston, Jay Prince allegedly took that move as a personal slight. Word on the street is he viewed 50's relocation without prior consultation as disrespectful, almost like trying to wear the crown without first acknowledging the throne. Allegedly, efforts were made to apply pressure behind the scenes. Some say Prince's camp reached out to enforce a protection tax, a street-level fee for moving freely. But 50 wasn't playing along. He reportedly told his G-Unit crew point blank, "We move with our own security. We don't pay to play."
Maybe we need to change the word for the youngsters. The checking in part, is they seem to get hung up on that word, checking in.
Yeah.
So if we could diversify that word and bring it up to a 2021 thing.
Right. What's the word, OG? What's the word?
Maybe we may want to tell them they need to get connected.
Jay Prince built his whole rep off this idea that he's protecting artists who come to Houston. He crowned himself the king of H-Town and set up this fake-friendly system called checking in.
You're stuck on stupid, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck on stupid and you're not using your powers or access to powers that you have. You're looking at it as a negative versus a positive. We all know if you can tap into good people wherever you go.
Wherever, yeah.
But I mean, it's a blessing, Rip.
Real talk.
From there, tensions exploded. Jay Prince allegedly responded with a no-fly zone declaration, attempting to block 50 from operating freely within city lines, a method used in the past to warn off artists refusing to comply with local street politics. That might work on up-and-comers, but not on 50 Cent. Instead of backing down, he went full troll mode on Instagram. Memes, subliminals, captions full of coded jabs. He turned the whole standoff into a social media circus. But it wasn't just jokes. Behind the smoke, real business was on the line. 50 had already secured plans to develop a $20 million G-Unit film and television production studio in Houston, his most ambitious expansion move to date. And now that project was under threat. What was supposed to be a business relocation had triggered a territorial conflict that exposed long simmering cracks in hip-hop's underground power structure. 50 wasn't just challenging Jay Prince's local control, he was forcing the entire industry to choose sides. 50 Cent's plans for Houston weren't just hype, they were transformative. The $20 million G-Unit Studios project would have created jobs, opened up internships, and brought a whole wave of production buzz into the city's economy. But then, almost overnight, it vanished. Quietly and without warning, the entire development was relocated to Shreveport, Louisiana. Officially, 50 Cent said it came down to better infrastructure in Shreveport. But industry insiders and longtime observers weren't buying the corporate spin. The real story? Houston's underground street politics were heating up, and 50 wasn't about to let his business empire get entangled in local power struggles. As the tension grew, it became clear that he wasn't just moving his studio, he was sidestepping a trap. But here's where the story flips. Jay Prince may have seen 50's presence as a threat to his domain. He might have even tried to push him out. But the city of Houston had a very different perspective. In a moment that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, Houston didn't just accept 50, they embraced him. In November 2022, just a year after arriving in Houston, 50 Cent was honored like a local icon. Mayor Sylvester Turner gave him the key to the city and declared November 24th, 50 Cent Day, during the city's Thanksgiving Day parade. Turner publicly hailed him as a businessman, a community leader, and a philanthropist. Crowds cheered as 50 stood on the float like he'd been born and raised in H-Town, proudly waving to thousands. And it wasn't just symbolic. Through his G-Unity Foundation, 50 put real money into the community. He launched toy drives, sponsored high schoolers, hosted scholarship events, and even joined forces with Houston's sports franchises, Rockets, Texans, and Astros, through his Sire Spirits brand. In 2023 alone, he donated $850,000 in toys. In 2024, he raised another $500,000 for the Houston Children's Charity by auctioning off exclusive Le Chemin du Roi champagne bottles. The event, in total, pulled in $6 million. While 50 was building goodwill and stacking real achievements, Jay Prince, according to sources, was quietly watching from the sidelines. The man once seen as the Shadow King of Houston was being sidelined in plain sight. For the first time, the city's love was shifting toward a new figure who moved with transparency and gave back publicly. Then came Tony Yayo. Never one to mince words, the most vocal member of G-Unit sat down with Vlad TV and laid it all out. The reason G-Unit never checked in? Simple. They never needed to. Yayo explained that the so-called check-in culture was nothing more than glorified extortion, dressed up in the name of respect. And in the next chapter, he pulls back the curtain even further. Tony Yayo didn't just speak on it, he broke it down brick by brick. According to Yayo, the reason G-Unit always moved militant was simple: survival in a system built on deception. And at the heart of that system was the so-called check-in game, a network of street politics disguised as hospitality. What sounds like a gesture of respect, Yayo argued, is really just a polished-up hustle. From his point of view, the whole concept of checking in isn't about safety. It's about lining artists up for extortion. You check in, hand over a few favors, maybe even money, and in return, you're promised protection. But miss a payment or step out of line, and suddenly your chain's missing, your show gets canceled, or worse, somebody you know winds up in trouble. Yayo didn't call it community. It was extortion with a smile. Jay Prince, as Yayo laid it out, allegedly built his rep on offering protection to visiting rappers. But this wasn't protection in the legal sense. This was old-school street insurance, either play by his rules or risk becoming a target. Yayo pointed to this system as the core reason why G-Unit always brought their own muscle, their own logistics, and made sure they never owed anything to street figures with blurred lines between business and the block. And here's where the conversation got real heavy. Yayo brought up Pop Smoke, not to spark controversy, but to issue a warning. He used the late Brooklyn rapper as an example of what happens when security is taken lightly, or when artists rely too heavily on local affiliations. The risk doesn't just come from outsiders, it comes from within those very same alliances. You check in with these street dudes, Yayo said. You think you're safe until you're not. And when it goes wrong, no one shows up for you. Then came the real warning shot. Yayo made it clear. This isn't the 90s anymore. This isn't backroom deals and handshake packs. This is the era of federal surveillance, RICO indictments, and wiretaps. Street politics don't stay in the streets when you've got labels, sponsors, and social media watching everything you do. And when extortion, intimidation, and organized protection rings become part of the music industry playbook, it's only a matter of time before law enforcement steps in. According to Yayo, G Unit saw the writing on the wall years ago. That's why they moved like a fortress, armed security, locked down travel, and no backdoor street deals. They'd rather be ready for war than caught paying rent to a street boss in every city. That code of independence, Yayo explained, is what kept them ahead. But here's where it turns ugly. Because if what Yayo is saying is true, then a lot of what fans believe about artist safety, local alliances, and hip-hop unity is just a smokescreen. And some of the biggest names in the game might be caught up in a network of protection that's one step away from federal indictment. The next chapter, it might reveal just how deep this rabbit hole goes. When NBA YoungBoy pulled up in Houston, it was strictly business. But business turned to chaos fast. He refused to check in with J Prince. No calls, no heads up, no handshake. Within hours, his place was hit. Chains missing, cash gone, car keys vanished. But before the dust even settled, J Prince appeared online. Not behind the scenes, not with discretion, but on Instagram, flashing the recovered goods like a trophy. Instead of privately returning them, he posted a video, tagging YoungBoy and adding fuel to the narrative. Some saw it as a power move, others saw it as a warning. J Prince wasn't just playing peacemaker, he was reminding everyone what happens when you don't follow protocol in his city. That stunt didn't sit right with many, especially those outside of Houston. Cameron and Mace were quick to weigh in. They didn't mince words. They dragged J Prince for clinging to outdated street codes, calling him out for trying to play mob boss well into his 60s. Real OGs uplift, not extort, they said. And the message was clear. If you're still operating like a street enforcer in your golden years, you're not leading the culture, you're holding it back. But it doesn't stop there. Another recurring theme? J Prince's legendary dice games. High stakes, celebrity-studded, and often whispered about behind closed doors. These weren't just friendly games, they were tests. And for some rappers, they became traps. Over time, quiet rumors started turning into full-blown allegations. The games, people claimed, weren't about luck, they were rigged. Designed to lure artists, drain pockets, and apply pressure under the pretense of street respect. And then came the tragedy that changed everything, Takeoff. One of the most respected, soft-spoken figures in modern rap, gunned down outside a dice game in Houston. It wasn't supposed to happen. Rumors swirled fast. Whispers said Takeoff and Quavo hadn't properly checked in with J Prince Jr., that there was tension before the first dice even hit the table. Some say it was supposed to be a scare, a reminder of who runs the city. But the scare turned fatal. Takeoff lost his life. And in the aftermath, J Prince's response was calculated, not apologetic, not responsible, calculated. He made public statements, avoided direct blame, and in one interview, seemingly admitted to destroying evidence, something as serious as that, treated like a footnote in conversation. No remorse, just silence and dodging accountability. While families mourned, J Prince protected his image. And here's the hardest pill to swallow. Takeoff wasn't the only one. Word around the industry is that more artists have been shaken down, cornered, or worse after stepping into these high-stakes dice circles or challenging Houston's unwritten laws. This isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern. Duke the Jeweler, remember that name? He won $100,000 at a dice game, likely thinking he just hit a life-changing moment. But before he could even make it to his car, he was ambushed, robbed, and tragically gunned down. Another promising black entrepreneur gone, not because of the game, but because of the people running it. Rigged dice, twisted codes, a culture that glorifies power over principle. Now line that up against what 50 Cent's doing. Building schools, donating toys, raising millions for charities, and laying down infrastructure to keep kids off the streets. It's not even a debate. One man is building up the community, the other is still enforcing fear through outdated street politics. And here's where it gets even more real. 50 Cent isn't just clowning Jay Prince on Instagram anymore. Behind those trolling memes, there's talk of something bigger. Word is, 50's talking to people off camera, former insiders, artists, and maybe even legal contacts. He's allegedly gathering receipts, piecing together a pattern of behavior that could officially expose the check-in game as an extortion racket. If the feds catch even a whiff of that, Jay Prince's entire structure could collapse overnight. And let's not forget, 50 doesn't bluff. He's a strategist, the kind of chess player who sacrifices a pawn today just to checkmate the king tomorrow. Every meme, every quote, every caption, it's all part of a long game. One leak, one investigation, one federal raid could flip the entire script. So now we ask, who really runs Houston? The man who demands loyalty in the shadows? Or the one holding the city's key, standing beside the mayor, opening doors for the next generation? 50 didn't just move into Houston, he changed its power dynamic. Let us know what you think in the comments. Is 50 Cent exposing the truth, or is this just another hip-hop power play? Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat in this ongoing saga. And don't go anywhere. What's coming in the next video will shake the industry even more.